Hi, good morning, everybody. Big thank you for the invitation here, and thanks for your time this morning. Good now. So everybody knows about Job Street, right? So I'm not going to tell you about Job Street, but I'm going to tell you something that's very close to our heart at Job Street and JobsDB, which is all about who we are as a team, and it's about us building a purpose-driven organization. So let me tell you what we all think about this at Job Street and JobsDB. Does that work? Yeah, this one here, is that right? Cool. All right. So our purpose at work is improving people's lives through a better career. Simple statement, but what does that mean to all of us? Essentially, what we're trying to do at Job Street and JobsDB is to take on big problems that our communities face. And where we are is the 7 countries that we operate in Southeast Asia and Hong Kong, which is Malaysia, Singapore, Philippines, Indonesia, Thailand, Vietnam, and Hong Kong. So what are we trying to do? Well, if you look at this region, about 53% of the people live in rural areas, and essentially, the vast majority of them have little or no access to jobs. So just imagine that you live in Indonesia, but you don't live in Jakarta, but you live in Medan, or you live in Bali, or you live in Sulawesi. Now, how do you get access to jobs? There's very little jobs advertised on print. Earlier we talked about the speaker who's trying to develop markets in the frontier economies. And in many of these economies, really, it's not about converting ads from print to digital. It's about going out there and finding the ads and creating the market space. So it's about getting people to consume ads. So if you look at many, many places outside the capital in Southeast Asia, the vast majority of people actually have little or no access to jobs. They can't find it in the print. So they need to go to online, and they need to go to organizations like Job Street and JobsDB to find these ads. So we play a very, very big role in the communities that we operate in giving people access to jobs and equal access to jobs. Everybody's heard about graduates who cannot find jobs. I mean, the number here in Malaysia is huge. It's something like 200,000 or something like that. So we all know that unemployment rates, at least the official rates in Southeast Asia, is very low. But how many of us recognize that in Singapore, there's 15% unemployment rate with the youth? Right? So if you look at unemployment rate among the youth, it's about 22% in Indonesia, 15% in the Philippines, and 15% in Singapore. We all don't like Singapore as much as we like the other countries. So even though it's 15%, we make it look taller. Not many people from Malaysia here, presumably. All right. So that is a real problem. Lots of young people, in particular, find it difficult to get a job. Let's look at the right-hand side. We all know graduates have a challenge getting a job, but maybe we don't realize that graduates who come from poor families have a significantly more difficult job getting a job than people who come from wealthy families, right? So you might want to think about that, and you might want to wonder, why is that so? I mean, in an ideal world, in an equal world, a graduate would be a graduate, no matter which family they came from. But the reality is very, very different. If you come from a poor family, the likelihood of you not getting a job after you graduate is about 34%. But if you come from a wealthy family, if you earn more than 5,000, if your family earns more than 5,000 ringgit a month, then there's only about a 14% chance that you don't have a job after you graduate. So that's all about inequality, and clearly we don't like that, right? And we want to change that. And we do feel that we have the power to change that by being great about delivering jobs to the right people at the right time. So here's another interesting thing, right? So 72% of the people are unhappy at work, right? So we spend a lot of time at work, but so many of us are unhappy. How many people here are unhappy at work? That's why you all are here. Cool. So what can we do about this? You know, can we inform people of what the culture of the company is going to be like before we get there? Right? Can we tell people what it's going to be like working for that person's boss before they get there? So these are all problems that we think are real, that affect our communities every day, that we're trying to solve at Seek Asia. Here's another interesting piece of statistic. While candidates have huge challenges trying to find a better job, the vast majority of companies also say that they cannot find the right talent. And Seek Asia would be one of the companies that are always complaining that we cannot find the right talent, even though we have the largest database in this region. Right? So these are real problems. So as a group at Seek Asia, we're focused on trying to solve these problems for our communities. So what would we like to do? We'd like to deliver jobs to everyone equally. Right? So we want to build a website that is so functional, people will find it easy to find a job, and we can deliver it to them everywhere, on their devices, on their desktop, through notices, on their browser, through email, anytime and anywhere they are. I mean, clearly, we want to do this because we feel that the job market today is not transparent. We feel that many roles in our region are not advertised, and most candidates don't know how to find a job. They don't recognize what roles and job titles mean. And we think strongly that access to jobs limits people's ability to move up the economic ladder. And so these are things that we're trying to work on and trying to solve every day. Secondly, we feel that many people are in jobs that they're unhappy about, and we want to try and change that. We think that careers are getting more complex and more challenging. They're also changing very rapidly. Many roles and job titles that you see today didn't exist 5 years ago. Many more didn't exist 10 years ago. So how do people equip themselves to this rapidly changing world? I think that candidates today need to retrain themselves constantly, and clearly job security is low. So these are all things that we think about every day and we're trying to solve. For companies, we're trying to figure out how they can be more productive and find the right talent to help them grow. Many companies are looking for roles that didn't exist before, and also many companies are using selection methods that haven't changed fundamentally over the years. Even the workforce has changed a lot. So these are all real problems that our communities face, and these are all real problems that we're trying to solve in our daily work at Seek Asia. And here's what some of our leaders say and what we are focused on every day. We want to help every citizen find a better job. That's what our countryman PG in the Philippines feels. He feels that there's a large amount of inequality there, and a lot of people don't have access to jobs. And the focus for him and his team every day is to try and fix that problem. We also want to make sure that everyone has equal access to jobs, which is not the reality today. Farida in Indonesia wants to make sure that we can help people break socioeconomic barriers. And we want to make sure that everyone is able to live richer and more fulfilling lives. Here's our strategy about candidates, hirers, and helping people match both sides of that marketplace. We think the opportunity in front of us is huge. We operate in 7 countries with a combined population of about 600 million people. Out of that, 400 million are in the workspace, right? We think that in the formal economy, about 30 million of them change jobs every day. In the informal economy, we think that's double or triple that number. Interestingly enough, at Seek Asia today, we're currently filling about 1 million placements a year. So in every year, we help about 1 million people find a better job. But our goal is actually to increase that 10 times. So what we would like to do is help 10 million people find a better job every year. And that's the focus in the organization moving forward. I'm good. Thank you.